Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, June the 28th, 2023. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
How is everybody doing this evening?
Well, better than the Yankees and the Mets.
You know what? I think a couple of slugs that just got run over by cars are doing better than the Yankees and the Mets right now, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you can tell, I got my Mets gear on tonight, right?
John, in your honor, I will let you know that I'm drinking a fine Colorado crafted Pilsner from Prost Brewery.
Oh, very nice.
And did you guys know that Colorado is the home of the 2023 NBA champion Denver Nuggets?
I was aware of that. I heard something about it.
Just wanted to make sure people were aware.
You know where I heard?
Because the Lakers are being talked about every day.
Well, the Lakers actually just signed a new player. They did. Here's a picture of him right there. All right.
I thought it was going to be a picture of Stephen A. Smith.
He's a small forward.
Hachimura.
Yeah,
right.
That's Kurt Rambis's brother, Jethro. You know what's funny?
Doesn't run.
You know what's funny? Is right. That guy on the 70s and on the 80s Lakers would have averaged like 8 and 6, but he would have would have blocked 4 of Robert Parrish's shots and started 3 fights with Kevin McHale.
Exactly.
Yeah, he would have averaged 8 and 6 by accident.
Right, but he still
like he would have missed dribble, but it would have gone to one of his teammates.
Magic would have hit him with a pass, and he
bounce off his head.
That's what he would have hit him with a pass. That's right. Exactly right. 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 Speaking of new players signed, the Mets actually just signed a new player too. They got to do anything they can to get out of this jam. So they brought back up Chico Escuela.
Chico looks like he's either surprised that he's on the Mets back in this when this card was taken, or the cocaine was really.
It looks like
it's a little of both.
He looks like his locker is next to Hernandez's from back in the day.
Back in the day, right?
Yeah. He's.
He said, let me show you how I get up for games, Chico.
Right. Yeah, he was up from the night before. Yeah, He came in on the subway.
Exactly. With Doc.
Right.
So, should we talk about the Yankees first?
Let's do
take
that.
about 3 seconds.
Let me just say this. I like Aaron Judge a lot more now. And, not because he's injured, but because he came out and said, "Yeah, I got a torn ligament in my toe." And then it was like a cartoon, like 100 guys from behind him said, "No." He actually told the truth, and now the news is out. And then, of course, the Yankees immediately came out and go,
if I'm a reporter,
sprain is a form of some sort of dislocation or something like that.
Right.
So, but as he goes, so go the Yankees.
Well,
to me,
if
that's
I was
the
a reporter,
indictment of the management of the club is that, yes, he's certainly one of the all-time great Yankees. And if he stays healthy and has a few more really great seasons, one of the all-time kind of great players. But boy, if he's gone and your team just can't do anything, and now you're counting on your favorite player, Harry, Josh Donaldson, to do good things. Right?
Well, let me ask you guys a question, because 2 things happened simultaneously. Okay, Judge got hurt, and Donaldson and Stanton came back into the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's more of an impact there? A guy hitting 138, taking up a spot for other players. Look, Judge is fantastic, and the reality of it is that we have known for a number of years that the Yankees, especially the bottom of the Yankees lineup, has been weak, and what they've just been hoping that somebody's going to have a bounce back year.
Yeah.
Throw into that Rizzo's really come back down to earth. I mean, he's really been the one impacted the most with Judge's absence, because he's not, he's just not getting the pitches that he was getting. And
Right.
I think he's like 4 for 39 or something like that. I mean, just not because he was and still is, probably the best hitter on the team, which is saying a lot. You couple that with DJ LeMahieu, just his mechanics are off. He kind of bounces back for one game. A couple nights ago, he's ripping balls all over the place, but they were catching them. I have hope that he can get his mechanics back, and I think moving him back to the top of the lineup might be a help because I think he's going to see better pitches.
Mm-hmm.
But they're atrocious at the plate right now.
Yeah.
And
who's the leader on this team?
Then you have guys that I don't even know.
Right. Well, then there's
Yeah.
look even more so than Donaldson's batting. Right. His fielding's superb.
Well, he's horrible, and we've known this. But the Yankees, much like they get sucked into these contracts. Look, you guys know how I felt when they signed Donaldson to begin with. I was like, no. Some of these young guys have some promise, and the silver lining in all of this is that the Yankees pitching has been pretty solid. There's been moments of not greatness, but when your starters are giving up one run, you can't win a game against Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, it's the silver lining, but it's also the irony.
Right. But here's
that they've finally gotten a pitching staff together
right.
that can do something other than one guy.
Here's the thing. It's easier at the trade deadline to go out and get a couple hitters. Look, Benintendi was a big loss. We knew that signing Judge was going to kind of handcuff them a little bit. We knew that they were going to do this.
It's ironic that you're talking about Benintendi.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, contact hitters, and I think next week we're gonna talk about our top 5 players that we think this year in baseball. And one of the things that jumps out at me is that the teams that are doing really well have contact hitters. They have guys who get on base and score runs. And the Yankees have lived and died by the long ball, and the long ball is not there right now. So, look, when Gleyber Torres is the person you're not complaining about, then something's wrong. This is what I kind of feared. This is kind of the worst possible scenario with the Yankees. I think the guys that they lost, the guys that they were unable to re-sign or sign because of so much attention being put on Judge, and the guys that they're strapped with, the Stantons and the Donaldsons of the world, I think we're going to have the first year in a long time that the Yankees don't make the playoffs. And I think we might need a reset. I think this might have to be the end of Brian Cashman. I'm not sure that Boone is really. I could go either way with Boone, but the Yankees front office needs to make a decision. They need to go out and win. This building for the future, there's no such thing. And if we have all these wonderful prospects, then get them out on the field. Yeah. Anthony Volpe is not that great. But at least let him play. And if we have to go through a season where getting some experience and losing some games is going to be the case, then so be it. Because this team, even if they squeak into a wild card spot, which I don't think they will at this rate, they're going to get swept in the first round.
You know when the next time you're going to see Aaron Judge play baseball?
Next year.
April. Yeah. Because that's not. I mean,
look, and this is part of what I've always said about the re-signing of Judge. I'd rather have 4 borderline all-stars than 1 superstar, because if that superstar gets hurt, you do not have the financial capabilities in today's world of today's New York Yankees to go out and really, pave the way to overcome an injury.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and directly, opposite of that, across town, they do have enough money to pay a bunch of superstars.
Well, that's a good transition, because that is inexcusable. Although,
by the way, hold on.
Let me say something real quick and then I'll let you talk. The Yankees' payroll is not that much less than the Mets. And on paper, the Mets have assembled a much better team.
Right, on paper. But paper doesn't win games.
Well, but
yeah,
there's hope for the Mets.
Yeah.
Now, hang on. Before we talk about the Mets, I just want to say that this Yankee segment brought to you by Pepsi.
That's right.
Pepsi Cola. It's not as good as Coca-Cola, but it's usually a little bit cheaper.
Second place.
Yeah. That's a good.
I'm just practicing. I'm practicing.
Pepsi Cola, one bad mistake by Coke away from taking the top place.
I got. I'll have the Mets sponsorship in a minute. But,
Okay, good.
In any event,
take it away, John. Tell us
Grand
about
Union paper bags.
Grand Union paper bags, right? No, look, the highest payroll ever in the history of Major League Baseball is 7 games under 500.
Yeah.
Is 16 and a half games back in first place.
Yeah.
Is 8.5 games out of the wild card.
Yeah.
In fourth place in the National League East.
Yeah.
And they're only a couple of games ahead of the last place team. Yeah, they really, really suck. But the problem here is it's a tale of two. Look, pitching is clearly the biggest problem. They can't get length out of their starters. Even if they do get a good start, they can't get more than 5 innings out of their starter. And their bullpen sucks. Completely, just absolutely is horseshit. And I'm not even going to get into mismanagement of the bullpen. Don't even get me started on this past Sunday's game against Philly when they were winning. They were up by 4 runs and lost in the bottom of the 8th at home. Gave up 5 runs, and two of them were walked in by hit batsmen by the same pitcher who shouldn't have been in the game. But let's leave that alone. Be that as it may, the Mets, when they score 8 runs, they give up 9. When they hold the other team to 2 runs, they score 1 run. They can't put either way. Switch. Lose the games that you're giving up 8, but win the games that you're giving up 2. They can't get it right. And there were 6, I believe, 6 and 16. Now there's 7 and 16. Yeah, they were 6 and 16 on Monday night. They won last night, so there's 7 and 16 for the month of June.
Let me ask you a question.
The highest payroll in baseball went 7 and 16 in the month.
Obviously, their biggest investment was in pitching, was in Scherzer and Verlander.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think that there's a chance that those guys can rebound collectively and give you the next 2 months that you need in order to chase that wild card spot?
Scherzer's last couple starts weren't bad.
No.
Verlander's last couple starts weren't bad. It's the length. Now Scherzer went 8 innings 2 starts ago, or last start, one of them. It's the length of Verlander's starts, although he did have a long start a couple times. It's the bullpen. David Peterson pitched. He got sent down to figure it out. Knock on wood, looks like he did. He came back and pitched pretty much a gem last night, really. But again, they only got 6 innings out of him, So, and he no runs, and of course the bullpen comes in, first relief comes in the 7th inning and gives up a run. Of course, what are you going to do, right? That's how it is. That's what they do. But yes, Diaz going down because of the World Baseball Classic and doing what he did, it was a huge blow because then you'd have Robertson as a setup man, and that moves everybody back, right? But it still wouldn't have mattered as much. It probably at this point would have meant a number of games better, but there still wouldn't be in first place. It's the middle relief. The bullpen sucks.
Because you can't have any complaints about Robertson.
No.
I mean, 2-1 with a 1.59 ERA. I mean, that was the pickup of the century.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the guy is 38 years old.
Thank God they picked him up. Otherwise, they'd beat Oakland. Have a better record.
Is Robertson in his? He's still in his 30s, right?
He's in his 30s.
Or is he 40?
No, he's in his 30s.
Okay,
35, I think. 30.
Is that all he is? I thought he was 38 or 39.
Yeah, I'll check right now. Hold on.
It doesn't matter. I thought he was 39 or 40, but look. Here's my take. The difference between the Yankees and the Mets is at least 2 or 3 of those guys have got to bounce back. I'm talking the position players for the Mets. As far as the pitching, yeah, they need to go out and get 2 middle relievers who can keep.
He's 38. He's 38.
Yeah, who can
just turned 38.
Who can keep their ERA in single digits. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's all they need.
Right.
And look, if you if you get 6 innings out of your starter, that's all you can really hope for, especially for 2 aging, aces of the staff who you don't want completely shot come playoff time.
Right. It's just, I just don't know. Yeah, they won last night. I think they were up just prior to.
Well, what makes it worse is that they're in a division with 2 or 3 other teams that are kind of on here. They're playing good ball right now. So,
one of those teams is pretty much the best team in baseball.
Yeah, bottom
plays
of the
in
fourth,
Atlanta.
They weren't up. Yeah. Bottom of the fourth. They're up about now. They're losing 2-1.
Well, but I mean, look at this. Atlanta's 9-1. Miami's 7-3. Philly's 7-3 in their last 10. That's hard. That's hard to compete with when you got 3 teams playing that well in your own division.
And they should have beat Philly
right
2 or 3 games. Instead, they lost 2 or 3 games because of that damn. Why Jeff Brigham had to come into that game when you had Ottavino and Robertson sitting on the bench. What was he saving? He saved. Well, you know what? Buck saved Robertson possibly for the 10th inning. Well, you know what? He's saving him for he was playing for the tie. Let them catch up and tie the game. And then
Ottavino's not perfect, but Ottavino would have been a much better shot. In that
absolutely. At least Ottavino wouldn't have hit 2 batsmen.
Look, and
he might have only hit 1.
Here's the thing with Ottavino and Robertson: you can work them.
Right.
You can work them. They're used to this.
Yeah, but
that's why you get them. You need to be able to work them.
But they couldn't come in the game because they had pitched the day before.
But that's
they need 9 weeks off. They need 9 weeks off.
Fuck that.
Right.
And I bet if you ask David Robertson, could he come in and pitch, he would say yes without any hesitation.
Right.
Yeah, it goes to show you that even Buck Showalter doesn't have control over these sort of things. It's All right, let's play a little game really quickly.
Go for it.
We'll do a mini over under.
All right.
Yeah. So
do I need to know something about the Mets to do this?
No, not at all. So the number is 250.
Okay.
As in batting average. I'll say a name, you say over or under.
Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. Pete Alonso.
Under now.
Over.
Under.
Oh wait. Under.
Over or under?
Right now, or
right now
for the season. Oh, right now
for the season.
For the season.
Well, yeah, for the season.
No, but I thought you meant by the end of the season he'll be.
No. Right now for the.
I don't know if he will be by the end of the season.
Year to date, Pete Alonso.
Yeah.
Under. Francisco Lindor.
Under.
Francisco Alvarez.
Under. Yeah.
Under. Mm-hmm. Brandon Nimmo.
Over.
Tommy Pham.
Over. He's right on the line. I would say he's over.
Over, but not by much. Mark Canha.
Under, but just not by much.
Yeah, more than 10 points, but.
Oh, really? Okay.
Closer than a lot of other guys. Vogelback.
Under.
I ain't no Vogelback girl. He's under. He's under by a lot. He's
Brett
hovering it. Oh, he's
Brett Beatty is
under, but just barely.
Yeah.
Okay.
48. Yeah.
Starling Marte.
Over.
Barely. Jeff McNeil.
Over.
Barely.
Under. Yeah.
By less than 10 points. And then I don't think there's anyone else worth talking about. Anyone else?
No.
Who am I missing here?
Nobody really. Unless you want
to
got
rid of Escobar, right? He's gone.
You got rid of Escobar's gone. Unless you want to say
Guillorme's gone.
Guillorme's there.
Is he?
Unless he went down again.
Yeah. All right. So Luis Guillorme.
Oh, he's under.
He's barely over.
He's barely over, is he really?
Yeah, barely over.
I'm shocked. That's shocking.
So 5, 6 guys.
No. Here's the thing.
Now that's not their only problem, but you don't have the margin of error with pitching when nobody can hit the goddamn ball. And I know Alonso's hitting a lot of home runs and stuff, but a lot of that comes. Well, look at the what was the final score last night?
Last night?
Yeah.
7
was it?
It was 7-2. 7-2.
2 or whatever. Yeah, and Vogelback hit a home run, which was meaningless. right? Because they were already up, and then
Lindor hit 2 home runs to get it going.
Yeah, Lindor hit 2 home runs. The first one was important. I mean, look, it's not, you take it when you can get it, but
Lindor's been a giant disappointment.
Yes, he has. However, he's going to wind up with 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs.
Is he?
Yeah.
He'll probably get to, well, he might get to 100 RBIs,
Yeah.
But I mean, this team just doesn't hit. And certainly I think you can get obviously better than you have gotten out of Verlander and Scherzer, hopefully, for let's just say the second half of the season, because the All-Star game is coming up. But unless they're back to phenomenal form, you're going to hear, they're how many? 8.5 out of the wild card? You're going to have a hard time catching up, forget about, catching the Braves.
They have to go on a big tear that sustains for a long time.
They've got to go on a huge tear and hope that a few other guys on some other teams get injured, or they just go in a horrible slump. Exactly. I mean, it's another 2 weeks, and it's going to be a little too late. Unless you do have a monstrously historic, or you do like a St. Louis winning 17 or 18 in a row or whatever it was a couple of years ago.
Right.
And they're not going to do that. They're not good enough to do that.
No, they are. That's the problem. They are good enough to do that, batting wise and starting pitching wise. But the bullpen, not. The bullpen they're not hold the lead.
Right, and they're not going to play enough.
They've been up by 6 runs and lost games.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're not going to play enough lousy teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have, if you're going to go on like a 10 or 12 or 15 game winning streak, you're going to have to beat up on some shitty teams and beat a couple of good ones along the way. And there's too many decent or better teams in their division for them to kind of get away from that.
Exactly.
Unless they go like on a 20-game West Coast trip or something like that.
Right.
But even then, you have to deal with some traditionally excellent teams who are maybe not doing terribly, i.e. the Dodgers and maybe the Giants. And, of course, Arizona, who's hot. And the Padres, who are the most beatable amongst those 4 right now. So, you need the right schedule, and you need at least those 2 guys to be phenomenal over, 3 or 4 or 5 starts each, and your 2 aces. And you need the bullpen to be better. Nice to see Peterson come back and pitch 6 shutout.
Well,
and throw the most pitches he's thrown all season in his debut, coming off the injury list. So,
I mean,
I don't know how smart that was, but he seemed to feel fine, and so that was a nice thing to see. But I mean, they're I hate being right, but they're the Mets. So the question is, what do you do if you're Uncle Steve?
Personally,
hang on and
I'm not
hope you can sneak into the wild card, or do you go, well, this just isn't working?
Here's what I do. I'm not blowing anything up just yet. All right, and I'm not blowing it up at all anyway. But
what would you blow up?
Well, just like blow up the team, and that's not happening. I'm not blowing.
Well, the pitching staff is.
But their starter, other than one starter, their starters. There's nothing to blow up.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm not blowing anything up. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing Billy Epler by the throat, and I'm saying, make some fucking moves at the deadline before I beat the living piss out of you. Okay. And kick you to the curb, and you're out of a job, and I'll make sure you don't work in baseball. But in any event, of course, that wouldn't happen anyway. He'd get a job in 2 seconds. But whatchamacallit, and try and make some pitching moves, move some stuff around, work on it, and then I grab Buck. I'd have a nice dinner on an off night with Buck. I go out, have a nice dinner, and I'd say, "Listen, Buck, kick the shit out of them." Terry. Now, I'm not comparing by any means. I'm not comparing Buck Showalter to Terry Collins. Okay, I loved Terry Collins. I thought he was a good manager. Got him to a World Series, obviously, and in a season where everybody said at the same time in June, everybody's like, the Mets, they ain't going to the playoffs this year. They went to the World Series, right? But that's not happening. I'm not saying that's happening this year. I'm not comparing the two. But what I'm saying is, Terry Collins would literally be throwing things at players right now. Buck Showalter stands there like this. All right, I know that's Buck. Get a little bit more emotional. A little bit, just a little bit, just enough. Maybe he does behind closed doors. I don't know, but kick the shit out of some of these players because when some of these batters are getting complacent, it runs rampant through the entire dugout, and none of them can hit. It's not just one player here and one player there. When one player's down, they're all down. When one player's up, they're all up. It's like feast or famine. It's ridiculous. So do something with the damn lineup and kick Billy Epler in the ass to get him to get him together with Jeremy Hefner and fix the damn bullpen because this is a joke now.
How about this?
Go ahead.
How about you say to Buck Showalter, "Hey Buck, why not just run the team your way? Let's go back 15 years.
How do you know he's not?
Let's put all this sabermetrics bullshit behind us and start managing the team from your gut. And let's try that because what we're doing now isn't working.
Ain't working.
And that way, I think you won't see Buck standing there with his arms crossed because he's got fucking handcuffs on as to what moves he can make. Let him. It's okay, Buck. It's yours. Feast or famine. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, then at least you could say, well, we turned him loose and he couldn't get it done, and so I'm going to fire him. Exactly. Or you're going to keep him around or whatever. But the way it is now, Buck and the modern baseball managing rule book obviously don't mix.
It's not working. It's not. It worked last year. It's not working this year. So,
well,
yeah, I agree.
It worked last year, but it didn't.
It did. Yeah, it worked last year. It worked last year until it didn't. Right there we go.
Yeah,
but yeah,
turn them. But it's not working at all this year.
No.
So turn them loose. Here you go.
One good thing that's coming out of this, and we just had a comment got a couple comments from Mr. Beer Samurai actually. Commenting in, he says tickets are cheap. Tickets will be cheap.
No, they won't.
Cheaper. Anyway,
it is the Mets.
And he said Buck doesn't have Zim anymore. So,
yeah. Well, no one does.
No one does. So,
I'm sure anyone who ever had Zim by their side misses Zim and
Mrs. Zim.
Wish they had him back, but
that's for sure.
Yeah, I just say, look, you brought the guy in, turn him loose. What could it? How much worse could it be? And say, okay, guys, you're gonna pitch on consecutive days. You're maybe gonna go longer. I'm not gonna take you out just because of this and that. I'm gonna go against the matchup sometimes. If you're you're on the mound and you're on fire. Let's go back to old school managing and see what happens. Right. Why the fuck not?
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. I agree 100%. And then if look, I don't expect them, even if they do that and they go on a tear, unless it's an amazing tear. But the tear also has to be coupled with a couple other teams tanking a little bit here and there.
Yeah, somebody's got to lose more than 1 or 2 games.
There is, unless something. Well, forget about Atlanta. It's the Phillies have to lose it, and they got to come up on them. And a couple other teams that are in the wild card right now. They're the ones that have to be playing poorly at that point if the Mets are on a tear. But the Mets are not catching Atlanta, so Atlanta can do whatever.
They're not.
They're not catching Atlanta. So the Braves can do whatever the hell they want. The Braves can just win out, for that matter. It doesn't matter. But what they need to do is that if they do manage to get into a wild card spot and the Braves do win out, they need to somehow figure out how to beat the Braves if and when they face them in the playoffs is what they need to do.
Yeah. Well, short of poisoning the water, I don't know how that.
I know that's going to happen, right? Exactly. But the bottom line is, I agree with you. You're right. They both of those things. What I said needs to happen too. Obviously, Buck needs to get a bit more emotional, but maybe he will if he's running the team. So that, and Epler still needs to go out and do something with that damn bullpen, because I don't care how well Buck manages. If they drop the sabermetrics and they do what you said, they still don't have a bullpen to hold leads. So unless they're scoring 3 runs every inning where they can just give up 12 runs a game and still win, it's
and look, you telling me there's nobody in the system that can replace Daniel Vogelbach? I know this is not all his fault.
Mark Vientos. If they brought Mark Vientos up, and I actually feel bad for the guy. They brought Mark Vientos up basically to fail. He's not playing enough. They play him once in a blue moon When he comes in, sure, he gets a hit here, he gets a hit there, but he's striking out and they're throwing him in here and there. It's for some reason. Now, Vogelback, granted, had a good game yesterday. Okay. But it's not like he's going to go out and have a good game today. It's not, and he's going to go out and have a good game tomorrow. Maybe he will. Who knows? Maybe he will. I doubt it, but maybe he will.
What does he have? 5 home runs this season?
Yeah, he's got 5 now. Or
220 hitter with 5 home runs. Yeah. That's your DH.
Yeah.
And he doesn't exactly run like a gazelle.
And he was out for 10 games. You know why he was out for 10 games?
I don't know why.
He was on a mental break.
Yeah.
That's what the offseason.
I mean, look, I don't hate the guy. I love his story, but he's just not very good.
No, he's not.
So
you got to dump him. You got to bring somebody else up that can play, and you got to put Vientos in there as your DH, and then rotate him around. Maybe he goes in, and Canick can DH. Alvarez can DH when Narvaez is catching, right? And rotate it around like that. DH by committee based on who's playing on the field.
Yeah,
that's what you need to do.
But I mean, as far as
Alonso,
you're talking about, if you're about making
first base,
about making moves, if you don't do it soon, you're going to reach a point where, now we're not going to do it.
It's too late
because now it's too late. We're not going to get anybody, so we're not going to, go out and bring in. I mean, unless there are guys, in the last year, you got teams that are looking to sell. But, are you going to go out and trade away, again, maybe some of these young prospects or whatever
that's just
to bring in somebody who's maybe going to get you into a wild card spot?
No, you don't do that. And when I'm saying make some moves, I don't mean trade deadline moves. All right. Obviously, that remains to be seen. When we get, in a month or so, when we get to the trade deadline, see how they're doing at that point. And if it makes sense, whatever, we'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I mean, make some moves. Whether internally or signing people off of other teams' practice squads, or whatever.
Right, yeah, that's what I mean.
Make those
right.
moves.
No, they shouldn't go out and
sell the farm for a piece or two that might help them win an extra 5 games.
Because it's too early to do that. No. Right, everybody's. I mean, with the exception of a few teams, of course, everybody's still kind of in it or has dreams of maybe sort of being in it, and they're gonna want more now than. For their top players than they will in another month when they go, okay, well, we're out of it now, and we're not going to keep this guy around, and he's really good, and he's going to make monster money next year, and we're not going to pay him, so we're going to get something for him. That's when you'll get a good deal. Right. But you got to get a little bit closer to being relevant in order to make those kind of trade deadline deals. So you're right, you got to do something else right now to spark this team.
Sure, absolutely.
So there you go, Uncle Steve. There's the formula.
And
bring in some guys who aren't playing here right now, and get
rid of the sabermetric bullshit
and get rid of the book. I mean, look, that information is certainly useful and it should be looked at, but a decision should not be made strictly based on it. Right. Give Buck the license to actually manage the team and see what happens.
Here's the only stat the Mets need to focus on. They have the 6th worst ERA in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Their bullpen ERA is 4.25. Their overall team ERA is 4.6. So it tells you that the starters are actually doing even worse than the bullpen cumulatively. Last month, not the case, but they need pitching. Yeah. And I think they need I think if the Mets want to go out and get any sort of name that's available on the market, I would not put a starter off that list because I'll be honest with you.
Well, they got a starter coming back. Peterson just went down, came back up yesterday, had a really, really, really good looking game yesterday. And it was not a good looking game against the A's, right? It was a good looking game against the Brewers. So it was, good bats there that he pitched well against. Now, that being said, Jose Quintana is making a second rehab start, and he should be back up with the team hopefully next week.
That's my point. That's my point is injuries are a big part of today's game. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to make any run here, it's got to be their pitching has to improve. They can't be the 6th worst team pitching wise with their inconsistent offense. They just can't. It doesn't work.
Absolutely. All right. And this Mets report has been brought to you by Costco Vitamin Water. Costco Vitamin Water for all your vitamin water needs.
Kirkland, they know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. Yeah.
If you live in the burbs and own an SUV, Costco vitamin water. Stick it in the pantry. No one will know it's there.
Exactly. I gotta be honest with you. I'm pretty sure this is regular vitamin water, and Costco just puts their.
It probably is. Almost everything is.
Can I ask a really simple question? When did we become so stupid to just? We have water. It comes through our faucet every day.
Yeah.
We pay for it. It's far cheaper than the plastic bottles of water. Why are we still drinking plastic bottles of water in 2023?
No. I actually do. I do drink.
I'm not saying you. I'm not singling out you. I'm saying we, the collective we, as a society. Why are we doing this?
The royal we. Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to try and defend it because I agree with your point. But the only thing I will say is that a lot of times the water that comes out of that tap,
that's what
really ain't so good.
Really ain't so good.
That's what they have filters for. Let me tell you, half the bottled water you're buying is coming right out of the tap into a plastic bottle.
And that's what you don't realize that you go and you buy the gallons of water. Yeah, I'm getting spring water. It says drinking water on it.
Yeah. Where does Arizona iced tea operate out of?
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
Hoboken, right?
That's why you get the picture.
Yeah.
I had a fantastic glass of water last Tuesday night. Fantastic filtered glass of water, room temperature, table water, out in East Northport, Long Island. It was amazing. Thank you, Pete, for pouring it for me. Appreciate it.
Well, that was filtered.
And that was filtered, right?
We used to have the nice. It was really great. It was the water unit, right? Where you could get the hot or the cold water.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the big bottle that came, which was filled off a tap in the Bronx, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a container that you would fill, and it would be filtered. It was like a Brita filter,
right?
So it was your regular tap water, and then you'd put it in, and it would filter it down, and it would make it cold, and stood right there in the corner. And we all drank so much water when we had it because it was right there. And even I love nice cold water. I don't think we ever used it for hot water,
right?
Because we didn't use it enough. The hot water would kind of sit in the little aluminum tank for a while, and then it would taste like aluminum. But it was great, and then it started leaking, and then I think the company that made it went out of business, so the filters got really expensive. But man, it was right there. But I'm the only one who will ever drink water out of the tap. No, the kids won't. Well, Donna won't. It's all most of mine is. The only reason I do is because I'm in a hurry, and I have a bottle that I take with me, a squeezy bottle, and I just refill it from the tap because I'm in a rush and I don't have time to,
right.
Or the filter pitcher is empty and I don't have time to fill it.
But even if they're filtering it, they're still drinking tap water.
Yeah, but you're taking a lot of the crap out of it.
Well, yeah, and I think you have to do that. I'm just saying. Anyway, tap water.
Yeah,
drink
no,
it,
I know,
pussies.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this: we got like where I am. I'm by the beach, right? We have wells. We have our own water, but it's only on from September to May. From mid-May to mid-September, we use water from the county because obviously there's a lot more people in the town.
Oh, okay.
Because of the beach.
There's still a water source. What I'm saying is I think
you should. So it really needs to be filtered more from May to September.
Most water needs to be filtered. But
more like double filtered then. But anyway. We all get it though. You're absolutely right. And Pete's frozen. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this because that's Pete froze, the video froze as he's pouring water.
Well, I thought it would look like he was giving a double hand job, but
it could have been both.
It could have been a little both.
After he services you get a nice, warm, tepid, filtered room water.
Exactly.
Yeah. I hate chlorine with my handies.
Yeah, it burns.
Nobody does. Although it does remind me of pool season.
This is true.
Oh, hey, I don't know. Do we have anything else to talk about in baseball?
Not really. Got something? Go for it.
I hope not.
No, I was just going to say, I guess the Oakland A's moving to Nevada is back on.
Mm-hmm.
The Nevada City Council, approving a $380 million public funding for a new stadium, $180 in transferable tax credits, $120 in county bonds. Enjoy paying those back, taxpayers. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing, though. Now, according to this story, which is from California.com, I think this came out today, basically what they're doing is like the stadium and the slightly surrounding area, they created like a tax-free zone. So they don't have to pay any property taxes, I guess.
Okay.
So, but the thing about the bill is it's not necessarily a done deal, because the bill, if the A's don't end up going there, the bill would still be in place. So some other team could move into that area and, get the stadium built or whatever, and would still enjoy the same tax benefits of all that. But I'm assuming that the A's are going to go there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting. Nevada was, I don't know, maybe they wanted to cover their bases, so they go, yeah, we'll give you it'll be $380 in the funding and the tax thing. But even if you don't take it, somebody else could come here. So Vegas is open for business.
So let's raise property taxes on the working class, and then let's give tax-free benefits to multi-billion-dollar profit centers just to make sure that they choose our place to build their stadium. I love this. Mm-hmm. I love this, and everybody's okay with that.
Well, look, now this is the A's have to get. What is it? 180 and 120 is 300, right? So the A's have to come up with the other, whatever it's going to cost to actually build the thing.
Of course, they'll get that, no problem.
So if they don't do that,
they will.
Some other team could move in there if they wanted to.
What other team would that be?
Well, I don't know. Yeah. The Angels?
I don't think they're going to leave California.
Who's the least happiest team?
I don't know. I mean, even the shittiest teams in baseball, with the exception of the A's, have a pretty solid fan base. You're not going to take the Royals out of Kansas City.
Maybe like Florida would be right?
I don't think so.
I mean, they historically don't have a good fan base unless they're winning. Like the Marlins, everybody loves them now.
Yeah.
But,
I think the Miami teams, the Miami-based teams, are fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But obviously, Tampa's got a good fan base too. They've consistently, So I don't know. I if anything, I could see it happening in an expansion scenario, which I don't think we need. But
right. But that might be why they did this.
Yeah.
They basically said, here's the zone and here are the benefits. A's, you got the first shot. You got to come up with whatever the rest of the money to fund the thing is. But if you don't get it done, then we'll take somebody else.
Right.
So,
well, I think
want a baseball team.
I think
in Vegas
within the next, I don't know. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Within the next few weeks, within the next few years, maybe 5 years or something, I think you're going to see talk. Maybe the next few years you'll see talk, but you'll see a couple of expansion teams that get the team registers to amount of teams. I can't even talk tonight. To 32, 16 per. So it's even. And yeah, I mean, it works out nice now.
Ooh, then we can have 8 4-team divisions.
8 14 divisions, right?
And then,
well, look at this:
8 division winners in the playoffs.
I just want to say that you guys, we all talked about a couple months ago. We talked about the potential of playing less games in the Major League Baseball, and you guys poo-pooed it, and I sort of did too. But I thought there was a way around it. Well, the Major League Baseball commissioner today has eked out some potential for having 152 game or season again.
I don't think it'll ever happen. It just means that it's TV revenue for the teams. 10 games less.
They'll make it up by raising the cost of everything else. But
then they'll raise the cost of everything else for a season or two, and then they'll go back to 162 games.
I don't know.
With the higher costs of everything.
162 games didn't start until what, the 70s, 60s, 70s?
60s.
So,
well, still, that's more than half a century ago.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, compared to when did baseball start?
1860 something.
60 something. So the first 100 years. Well, you can't count the first 100 years as there was only 150 games, because doesn't Cy Young have didn't he pitch in 500 games or something? Or
yeah, but they only played
has 500 wins or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't really know how many they played in total, or
Yeah,
but it's hard for me to believe they'd go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it'd be nice
I
for
suppose it's a
baseball to be
possibility.
over in October and not November.
Yeah, but I could see them doing what the NFL did. I could see just that. I could see them putting in another 2 teams, 1 per league, changing the divisions to 4, like they did with the NFL, 4 teams in each. Now you have a divisional, you have 4 divisional winners and 2 wild card teams.
Well, why don't they start in March? Just get rid of half of spring training like the NFL.
Less games would be wonderful.
We don't need preseason.
Less games would be
baseball.
wonderful. There's too many fucking games in baseball.
Let's start March 15th, opening day.
Well, let's just start in April, but end like we used to, and be done in October, and not have as much time in between playoff series.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things they could do differently, and they're not gonna. So, anyway,
if you're gonna have 8 divisions or whatever, then we don't need any wild card teams.
Well, that would make sense then. So, anyway, all right.
You have 8 division winners,
or have divisions, but then fairly have the top 4 teams in each division make it to in each
division
in
each league,
in each league. Make it to the playoffs. The problem with more divisions is you get that one division that sucks, and you get somebody with a higher seed than somebody that won a bunch more games.
Which can still happen now. Obviously, that helps them out. The wild card helps them get in.
Hate it. 2 American League, National League, 2 pennant winners, World Series. Done. Let's go back to that. Chris Chambliss. It worked for Chris Chambliss and George Brett.
Okay, let's move on from
baseball. Work from Honus Wagner.
Before we start going down the
way it was Speaker.
60 years ago rabbit hole.
I went 100 years ago.
60 years ago. I'm talking the 80s.
That's true. I went 100 years ago. He went 40 years.
Pete always exaggerates to make his point.
Well, he went in between. I said 100, you said 40, so he went 60.
Chambliss played in 49.
Not quite.
Played from 1949 to 1986.
Joe Louis was 139 years old.
It's really amazing. Those lefties, they have good longevity.
And look, if there's going to be expansion teams, why are we limiting it to the United States? Let's be honest. Let's just let these guys play where they live. We may as well just make it international and have some teams.
And then actually have the World Series actually mean the World Series, not just the North American.
None of these guys want to play here anyway. They could give 2 fucking shits about any loyalty to any town. They really don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, would it really be so hard to have a couple of teams in Mexico?
No.
You know, didn't somebody just go over to London and play?
Yeah.
Yeah, the next year the Mets and Phillies will be playing a series over in London.
Yeah,
we should have been focusing on London. Else. London is not where baseball is happening.
No,
but I'm just saying,
they go over there and they got to play 3 cricket games.
Look at the top 10 players in baseball, and that'll answer all the questions you need to know about where we should be focusing our.
I know. Oh yeah, they're so missed.
This is the Latin League. They should just call this the South American Baseball League. Yeah. It is what it is, and we may as well give those people what they deserve. I mean, they should be able to see some games. I mean, what's the difference between traveling from Seattle to Miami as opposed to Miami to
Ecuador?
Cuba. Open it up to Cuba. Let's get a Cuban team.
Miami to Cuba is a little closer than Seattle to Miami. So
a lot.
A little bit.
I mean, I think the Texas Rangers would rather go to central Mexico than travel to the Northeast.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. Let's bring it to football for a sec. A couple things.
Football, you bet.
Training camp's coming up. Obviously, we're going to be starting to talk about more football as we get closer to probably next 2-3 weeks. We'll be close to the training camps. We'll be talking a little bit more deep and diving into the NFL a little bit as we get closer to the season, gearing up for another beaten by the coin season. We're looking forward to that. So, who won last year?
I think I did, right? Or Pete did.
Yes, Pete.
That's right. I think it was technically a tie, but really Pete won.
Something like that.
I wanted to make it interesting, and it ended up actually being interesting.
It ended up being interesting.
Tie.
Yeah.
So not making that mistake again.
There you go.
But it was fun. I didn't mind.
It was fun. Yeah, exactly. So you both won. I was the only one. I was the only one that didn't.
I think the audience won. They're the real winners.
The real winners there, yeah.
Right, all three of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce did say today, he came out and he said in an interview that he estimates, I don't know where he's getting his facts from, but he estimates that up to 80% of NFL players use cannabis.
Okay.
Good for them.
So there you go.
80% of the United States uses cannabis. So
So that's probably where he got his things from.
I'm the only person in Colorado who does not.
No, exactly.
And if I go out, I am.
Right.
Yeah.
Step outside your house.
That's the nice thing about that community is you don't have to buy it or do anything. Just go hang out somewhere.
And it's not, and I don't use it because I'm against it. I just don't need any reason to be more tired and more hungry.
It's very true. True words. I'm going to write that down. That's an open. 50-45. All right. So let me put that there for one hot second. Hang on. Come on. There you go. Okay. And I just want to bring up one other thing too, kind of a somber note. Quarterback that was signed, I don't know, 16 years ago or something like that, from the Patriots, Ryan Mallett, drowned, caught in the
yeah, that's horrible. I didn't
rip
hear
current.
about that.
Yeah, in Florida. He was he was also Arkansas quarterback too. He was coaching a high school team. He played for a couple of teams, but he was drafted by the Patriots. 35 years old. Yeah, he got caught in a rip current and drowned the other day. It's been talked about today. They were talking about a lot today. Just
how old was he?
35. Ryan Mallett. Yeah, just yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
So rip current in the Gulf was horrible. So rest in peace, Ryan. So that sucked. But yeah. Well, on that note, we will discuss more NFL news, obviously, as we get closer. There'll be probably a lot more Jets talk this year than normal.
A lot more jazz talk.
Jazz. Yeah. Well, you know what? I really want to talk about John Coltrane this year. Maybe
you got to work it into the football conversation.
Exactly right.
We're going to start calling the Jets the Jazz.
Top 5 jazz albums. I'd be more interested in that than
little Coltrane, little Mingus.
So maybe we need a jazzy Jets theme.
We could do that. We could work that out.
I got my team working on it. Actually, I have it.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is already complaining about the media, so
yeah,
is he?
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
That's shocking.
Let's just say, listen, nobody's, he's the topic of conversation, but not like he was in Green Bay. So he wants some attention.
Right.
So I think I'll complain about the media.
I think he's complaining that there's too much attention.
I don't know.
He's going to go back into his dark hole.
Yeah.
Take some.
All right. Anything else?
I think he will. What about and anything else for football? No, I don't think so. Right. You guys have anything else for football?
That's our football wrap up. Deep conversations about the NFL. No. Football? What is football?
What is football? Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about football. We'll dissect what the sport actually is as we get closer to the season. So
yeah.
But should be interesting. Can't wait to see. And obviously, there's the whole Saquon Barkley re-signing. I'm sure something will get done, but we'll cross that bridge. We'll know more about that obviously in a couple of weeks.
Is that leaning more towards actually getting done?
Yeah, they're not going to let him go anywhere, and he doesn't want to go anywhere. They'll get it done. They just have to obviously work out all the particulars. They started sitting down again the other day, so
maybe they should stand up.
Maybe they should. So.
Walk and talk.
All right. This NFL report has been brought to you by Polar Seltzer for all your seltzer needs.
Yes, that's the Pete Alonso seltzer water.
Some Polar Bear seltzer water.
Delivers 22% of the time.
Exactly.
21.9%.
21.9% of the time.
Now, I'm sure by the end of the game tonight, it might have been more than that.
Yeah,
But you get that one. Well, every once in a while, you get that one that's pow, a home run.
Yeah.
What is it? Games. Let's really quick, take a look and see what's going on in the Mets game right now. Oh, the Mets scored another run, but so did the Brewers. So it's 3-2 now. So 3-2.
Scintillating late June New York Mets Milwaukee Brewer game.
Yeah, really.
Exactly. All right.
But the motto of Milwaukee, the Brewers this year is someone's got to win this division.
Can't we find the Reds and Royals? Come on.
Well, the Reds are in first place by now, but not by much.
Yeah, the Reds are an anomaly. They're a team that's winning with shitty pitching. Mm-hmm. They're winning because Anyway.
Exactly. Well, Edwin Diaz's brother's been doing pretty good as a closer over in Cincy. So
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz, right? Exactly. Is it Yanni Diaz?
Yanni.
Yeah,
I don't know. How many Diaz's are there in Major League Baseball now?
I'm not sure they're all related, but maybe they are all related.
Well, I didn't say they were related, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be racist if I said they were all related.
It might also be true, though.
Yeah, exactly. But
I don't think any of them are related.
It might not be a direct, one or two step relation, but it could be, 3 or 4 or 5 steps.
6 degrees of Kevin Youkilis.
6 degrees of Diaz.
6 degrees of Diaz, right?
All right. So what else we got?
There you go. Alexis Diaz, by the way.
I want to get to Are They For Real? Because it's Pete.
I know. It is Pete. And I want to do that too.
Speaking of a jazzy song.
Well, do we? Yeah, I want to actually talk about that. But before we get there, though, NBA draft, guys, happy, sad, good, different. What do you think?
I mean, look.
Overall, we'd have to dissect the draft. I just want to.
My take. I think Wembanyama is going to be a decent player. I think that this chatter that he's going to be the next LeBron is just utter nonsense.
I saw a video today of him doing a shoot around.
And he missed 89% of it. He missed shots.
Almost everything. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, he's probably in the right place as far as bringing out the potential. Right? I mean, it's the Spurs, and you got Pop. I mean, I don't think he's probably not going to be there for his whole career.
No.
But listen, the Spurs got Tim Duncan, right? He was the number 1 pick, and they were not good at the time.
Well,
and then didn't they win like 5 championships over the next 16 years or whatever the hell it was?
Yep.
So, now whether that culture is still as much in place, but again, you got the guy leading the team who sort of got that done. But I don't know if you can. I guess you could do that in today's NBA. Maybe it's easier in today's NBA.
So look, I think
you do have a little bit more player movement.
I think playing in the EuroLeague is probably going to help him. I think that he's got the skill set. I haven't seen enough of him, but what I've seen, it'll be interesting. I think that this first year is going to be a big awakening for him. Mm-hmm. I'm not as concerned about his, how thin he is and everything, because I see him as more of an outside player than an inside player. I think he'll play inside and have a big impact on the game, especially when he's an off the ball defender blocks wise. If he doesn't, then all he has to do is stick his hands in the air and he's going to get 2 blocks a game because he's 7'3.5".
Well, that's what they're saying now is defensively he should, at least immediately, he'll definitely have more of an impact than
unless he plays against a guy like AD or Jokic or somebody where they're going to be able to get their body into him and create enough space where I don't think he's going to be a good one-on-one defender, but there's only 8 guys he's got to play one-on-one. Half the teams in the West especially don't even have a center. So will he be who's he going to guard? Draymond Green? Come on.
And Anthony Davis is at his best defensively when he's off the ball and kind of hanging around.
So is Bill Wallen. So is Patrick Ewing. That's why they had Charles Oakley and Maurice Lucas and Tim Duncan had David Robinson. So they'll be able to use him, and I think he will be good. And he could potentially be an all-star, but I don't understand the best prospect since LeBron.
Yeah, it's a little much.
Well, that's the media wanting to.
The more interesting thing to me is the Trailblazers taking a point guard, and the perennial what will happen to Damian Lillard. I personally think Damian Lillard is going to stay in Portland, and I think they'll be able to make a couple moves to maybe make them a little bit of a better challenger.
I saw a report earlier that he sat down with management that they have no interest in trading him. They want him to stay right there. They want to build a winner around him. So
they have interest in trading, and he has no interest in going anywhere.
No. That they don't have any. Now they don't have any interest in trading him.
I'm going to tell you something about Damian Lillard. I don't think winning a championship is the number one thing on his mind. And if he does win one, if it's a result of him sticking to his guns and doing it the way in which teams like the Spurs have done it in the past, teams like the Nuggets have done it this year. If he can do it without the sort of Build-A-Bear team, then that's what he wants. And he loves Portland. And I'm not so sure having to take on that contract with Damian Lillard, where he can go somewhere where you have no money left to have any role players, is going to make any sense.
Right.
So I hope he stays in Portland, and I hope they have another bounce back year, because I do think they have some good young talent. But we'll see. There's just a lot of chatter about all this. And of course it's the perennial, where's Kyrie going to go? Where's he going to stay? I don't think we're going to see as crazy an off season with free agent signings.
No.
Yeah. Lillard says he wants to win in Portland. He wants to stay there. That's his home. That's his community. And I heard a couple guys talking about, nobody's going to want to go there. I'm like, well, if you know that he's there and he wants to stay there and they're going to build around him, I think that might be something of an attractive place for, some of these free agents who can be pieces to help build a championship. Might want to go there. Yeah, I know the guy's going to stick around. I'm not going to go there and he's going to be gone in 2 years.
No.
I think it could
people
be
are going to want to go there.
Destination.
Yeah. Right. I think if you're a wing player and a shooter, you want to go there. I think if you're a big man, you want to go there and play pick and roll with Damian Lillard. I think if you're a power forward, obviously, I mean, there's no true point guards left anymore. So even if there is a point, what I call 1.2s, they're point guards, but they shoot more than the 2 guard. So you go small and you line it up and chuck it up. I mean, that's sort of what he had in the past with some players. Anyway, he's a guy. He is today's version of George Gervin. He is today's version of Alex English or David Thompson. He's a guy who's going to take his shots. He's going to take his shots, and you want him to, because other than Steph Curry, I'm not sure there's anybody who's as explosive from behind the 3-point line as Damian Lillard. There just isn't. And so they're not that far away. They need good role defensive players and a couple more scorers and rebounders in front of them.
Yeah.
Just let him go. Defense. Let him go. I mean, he is a little Allen Iverson-esque, but he's a better shooter than Iverson. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, this has been the NBA draft report on Damian Lillard. But
I mean, it had to do with the draft. It had to do with
I'm kidding.
That, a lot of people thought that them taking a point guard and whatever the hell, Scoot Henderson, is that his name?
Henderson, yeah.
Scoot Henderson, yeah.
Was a determining factor, but I think they just took the best player available.
Well, I think that, I mean, what do you think of the Hornets with Brendan Miller?
I think Miller's a good shooter. I think he's NBA ready. Is he going to transform a franchise? No. He's
a little better shooter than Scoot Henderson.
A lot better shooter.
I think that's why I went number 2.
But Scoot Henderson's potential upside could be more in the John Morant category due to his athleticism. But yeah, Brandon Miller's a plug and play guy. Unfortunately, he's going to be asked to do way more than plug and play. I mean, if he went to Golden State, or he went to Philly, or he went to even the Knicks, he'd be a much bigger immediate impact.
Right.
I think the Hornets are still trying to find what their identity is. And they've got some questions as far as who's going to be there and injuries and everything else. So
this is true. All right. Well, we'll see how that goes.
And by the way, This NBA report brought to you by Nature's Bounty.
Nature's
Nature's Bounty.
Vitamin
Immune
D.
Health.
Vitamin D3. There you go.
Support strong bones and immunity health. Nature's Bounty. Vitamin D.
All right. Very
Proud
good.
sponsor of the
NBA portion
name
of
of
the
this
show.
podcast?
Get on with it. Get on with it.
Get on with it. Sports podcast.
No, I mean get on with it. Yeah, that was a joke. See what I did there? All right.
Yeah, I got it.
Anyway, all right. Speaking of getting on with it, this is something that Pete wanted to bring up, so we're bringing it up, and I want to bring it up too, and I'm sure Harry does as well. Pete, take the lead on this particular topic, would you please?
All right. Well, if you look underneath my name there, you can see it says NHL equals No Homos League. Although I blacked out the
M.
The M is right because I don't know. I'm not saying that because I'm.
And that was satire when he was saying it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not saying that because I'm a homophobe or anything like that. The NHL has a problem, and they have a problem with pride. One of the NHL's slogans is "Hockey is for everyone," but it's not. The NHL has proven themselves to be less than friendly, or at least friendly in word but not in deed, to the LGBTQ community. A number of pride nights and a number of problems with Russian Orthodox religious players who refuse to wear pride jerseys during warm-ups. We're talking about jerseys where the number, or perhaps the name, but usually just the number on the jersey is in rainbow colors instead of the
just for warm-ups. Just for warm-ups.
10 minutes before the game. And a number of players have refused to wear them during warm-ups. A number of teams like the Rangers and the Flyers and the Wild and a couple others, I guess, canceled Pride Night. A couple teams, the players who didn't want to wear them because it goes against their religious beliefs. Again, many of them Russian players and followers of Russian Orthodoxy sat out, or some of them went out for warm-ups and just wore the regular jersey. And the NHL kind of having a little bit of egg on its face. And as of, 4 or 5 days ago, I guess, or 3 days ago.
Yeah, they decided to cave in. And
Gary Bettman caved to the religious right and said, okay, we're not going to put any pride jerseys on anybody. We'll have pride nights. Oh, and you can buy the jersey if you want. We'll still try and make money off the LGBTQ community, but we're not going to actually have any pride nights because, basically, and these are not his words, these are mine, a few religious troglodytes refuse to wear them. And there are a couple of, non-Russian players who also said it went against their religious beliefs. So they're basically not going to even bother. It'll, I guess, be a pride night, but they won't say anything about it. They won't wear the jerseys. They won't actually show any support for the community. But, of course, you can still buy a jersey. And I'm sure at least some of that money, if not all of it, hopefully goes to charity. But so they'll go that route. But they're caving in to the religious right. And what's really disgusting is it's the Russian religious right. And look, I'm not saying that every team should be forced to have a pride night. I don't think that's the answer. But why not just, if you want to wear the jersey for 10 minutes during warm-ups, wear it. If you don't, then don't. Problem solved. Then we'll know who supports LGBTQ rights and who doesn't. If you have players who say, I don't even want to be on the ice because that's a sin and a horrible lifestyle or whatever their religion teaches them, okay, sit in the fucking locker room. But to say, no, we're going to, that's it. The whole league, it's a cop out. Yeah, it's an absolute cop out. And it's really disappointing. And Gary Bettman is a chicken shit piece of shit.
Let me clarify. Let me elaborate on a few things that you said. So this is not a religious right thing. What this is a small minority of Russian players who are using religion to justify their homophobia. Okay, I don't really think there's a Russian religious right. Now, granted, there is some orthodoxy, and there is some in many religions. There are some things that people have kind of fabricated against homosexuality because none of it's all that clearly written in any sort of religious book of tales. Anyway, this is really disappointing to me because it was a big fuss made by a small group, really a relatively small group of players when you consider the amount of players in the NHL and the amount of players who refused. My whole thing is, well, if you want to continue it, then they should have every right to not perform, not come out on the ice during warm-ups if they so choose, or they should come out on the ice and maybe not wear the jersey. That's fine. I'm not going to take away somebody's right to do that. But I felt like this was the NHL's way of saying, I don't want to get in a Bud Light scenario here, and we're just going to use this as an excuse to kind of, quietly sweep this under the rug and not get into this scenario anymore. Now, look, I don't know what percentage of NHL fans had a problem with this. I'm guessing it's relatively small. I also don't know how many players are asking for this, to participate in this. But I think it was a gesture to reach out to the broad community of the hockey leagues. Now, I also don't know how much does the NBA do this? How much does the NFL do this? How much does Major League Baseball partake in this? I don't know. I don't have answers to that. So, but to sort of just sweep it under the rug and fold it, to me, is not addressing a way in which we can really have this, we can cohabitate with this. I'm not going to let one player, and why in this scenario do the players not get penalized or punished or even have their careers ruined? Whereas, how is this any different really than a Colin Kaepernick or players who are making a stand against something else, So I agree with you. I think it's a little odd, and I think it's odd that the NHL kind of folded on this. But
during Pride Month, by the way.
During Pride Month. And they had to make the announcement during Pride Month. And I also think that it's a little bit of it's a cop-out, especially with the backlash to, Bud Light having a trans person as one of their many ambassadors for their product. I mean, holy shit, the world is going to come to an end. I don't know. You know where I stand on this. I find it to be, and it is primarily the Russian players, and it's not religion, it's homophobia.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
fact that their vocal minority dictated policy bugs the shit out of me.
Well, again, it's the teachings of the Russian Orthodoxy. Now, whether these players as you suggest, probably some of them are just using that as an excuse.
So they're going to get more upset about a rainbow colored jersey than they are about their country performing genocide on their neighbors.
Well, Russia's still Russia.
Yeah,
I mean they're still Russian players. So,
but
now speaking of baseball,
I'm sure we would have the same problem in baseball, especially with the amount of Latino players.
Well, you mentioned baseball. June 15th, Rob Manfred said, he had a news conference. He said, "Quote: We have told teams in terms of actual uniforms, hats, bases, that we don't think putting logos on them is a good idea just because of the desire to protect players and not putting them in a position of doing something that may make them uncomfortable because of their personal views. Other than that, we leave it to individual clubs to decide on their promotional rights."
Mm-hmm.
Promotional nights, excuse me.
Promotional nights, yeah.
And they said the players can wear accessories, pride-themed accessories. I don't know what that means. Maybe pride-themed earrings or wristbands.
Oh, you've never been to Pride, Pete. Come on, there's a lot of
accessories.
But I don't know what baseball players wear. Maybe.
I think probably
I know what they don't wear.
Yeah,
but I don't know what they wear. But so it's already now. Again, Manfred didn't go so far as to say, "Well, we're going to have the Pride nights, but we're not going to. There's no outward show of support for the community."
Right.
You still buy the jersey, and oh yeah, this is a Pride night, unless of course the team decides, whatever individual teams decide to cancel it. But no, nothing you wouldn't know is a Pride night. Maybe they say it over the loudspeaker.
Well, they say it. No, I can do this really quick right now. It's like Mets always have a couple during June, and the Coca-Cola corner there, Coca-Cola is lit up as a rainbow. That's
Yeah.
But isn't this sort of taking pride and just marketing it in any way? I mean, I don't know. I think a lot.
Yeah. It's a hard point to argue, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't show some support. I mean, if one of your slogans is "Hockey is for everyone," well, I mean, look, are they?
Well, there's an asterisk.
I believe Bettman also said they're not going to do like the military nights and some of these other. They're not going to do anything with special jerseys for that too, which I find hard to believe, like for the police or first responders or whatever.
Right.
I don't go to a bunch of hockey games, so I don't know what all of the themed nights are. But he said they're not going to do any of that stuff, or recommending they don't do any of that stuff with jerseys. So I find that hard to believe.
Yeah. While I totally am against, the sort of response by the NHL, and of course disappointed with certain players' reaction to this, I also feel like maybe there is something there. Are we really going to be looking towards our professional sports leagues to help us solve cultural affirmation in this country?
I don't know if it's so much solving a cultural problem. It's recognizing and in some cases honoring someone for
But we every game there's somebody from the military honored, and that's great. I applaud their service and I think it's wonderful. But why not honor the woman who's worked for 30 years at the concession stand who can't, pay her mortgage or her rent? Well, why not? Yeah. Why not honor, a teacher from the Bronx? Why not honor?
Came across the border.
It's very safe. Everybody's going to clap for the person in uniform, as they should. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but we've accepted these things, and sometimes I'm just like, okay,
There's a lot of heroes out there in a lot of different capacities, in a lot of different ways.
I would,
and everybody that's honored deserves it. But there's a lot of other people that aren't honored that deserve it too. That's all. That's what you're saying, right?
And the only distinction I would make is that, when you're talking about the military or first responders versus LGBTQ community, one of those communities has been incredibly discriminated against and abused.
Yeah.
And while I certainly respect first responders and military and all that, those that's not the same as African Americans in this country and LGBTQ.
No. Right.
So,
people fighting for actual equality who have not had it is very different than And look,
so I don't have a problem with honoring or recognizing it. They should all. And you're right, John. What I was saying before, someone who came into this country and they came and they went to work and they got their they came in legally and they got their citizenship and they raised a family and all that. Those people should be honored too, right? Leaving a life of hardship behind and coming here for the American dream, and those people should be honored too.
Sure.
But we're letting a few. I think, what is it about? Is it how much of the NHL is actually Russian? 5%, 10%, maybe.
Well, and even of that, how many of these how many players in general are complaining about this?
Right.
Less than 1%.
It seems like it's 2 or 3 on any team that's made any noise about it. So
right.
It's a small percentage, but that makes it even worse. We're letting them dictate.
That's what I mean. The vocal minority.
What happens?
The vocal minority is winning here, and that's the problem.
Yeah. The squeaky wheel does get the grease. So
and it probably has everything to do with profit, because there was some rumbling of some sponsorship pulling out because of fear of backlash because of recent events. And that, to me, is more scary than anything else.
Yeah, the corporate sponsorship.
The fact that you're so insecure that you're going to stop using a product because of a brand ambassador. I mean, come on.
I know.
Right. And a company, even like, Anheuser-Busch is
Right.
what? Are they going to sell what percentage less of Bud Light? What did their sales go down 16% or whatever it is so great. So they only made, $10 billion profit on Bud Light instead of
Bud Light was
instead of 13 or 14 or whatever it was.
I mean, all we can really hope for is somewhere in the next couple drafts that a openly gay Russian becomes a top draft pick and winds up leading the NHL in scoring.
There you go. Bud Light was the number one selling beer in America. Now Modelo is actually number one.
Way to win, America.
There you go.
We sure showed them.
There you go.
USA.
Anyway. All right.
Bad choices across the board.
Here we go. All right. It is time.
What is real?
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
Pretty sure none of that's real.
You're not real.
For real, for real, for real. Yeah.
Are you for real? For real? For real? For real?
Are they for real?
What is real?
All right, are they for real? We're going to go with the baseball edition. We've done a number of these, but things keep changing. And as you know, are they for real can mean a bunch of different things. So we have a few different meanings for this edition of Are They For Real, as long as I can remember what they are. All right, so let's start with the American League Central. Where there are 5 teams in that division, and exactly 0 of them are at or over 500. So, which of those 5 teams, Minnesota, Cleveland, Detroit, the White Sox, or Kansas City, is the most for real? Or which one of them is for real? And by for real, I mean they're going to be at or over 500 when the regular season ends. And you can have more than one answer if you like. Minnesota is currently 2 games under. Cleveland is 2 games under. Detroit is 10 games under.
Yeah, I'm going to say at or over 500.
At the end of the regular season.
Now, do they have to be over 500 to be real, or just will they? Are they for real? Meaning they'll win the division or be at the top of it?
No, it has nothing to do with assumedly the team that's over 500 will win the division.
Well, obviously,
somebody has to.
No, not necessarily. They could all wind up under 500.
No, that's true. But I'm saying, no, someone has to win the division.
Oh, someone died by default.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
they'll probably wind up becoming
real,
World Series champions too.
Being for real means they're at or over 500.
At or over 500. So if none of them are for real, but one of them is going to win the division as not.
Right. Someone's going to win the division by hook or by crook.
I'm going to say,
are any of them going to get to or over 500?
I want to say the Twins, but I think it's the Guardians.
All right.
It could be both. I'll go with both. They're flirting right around 500. So I mean, as they get closer, I'm going to say the Guardians. I'm going to say the Guardians win it at a couple of games over 500.
All right. So the Guardians are for real. Mm-hmm. They will have 81 or more wins.
Yep.
That's how I should have put it, I guess.
Yeah.
Harry?
This is a tough one, and it's really hard for me to say this, but looking at the way, the only good thing is they get to play each other. And the rest of their shitty division.
Yeah, they get to play a lot of mediocre teams in their own division.
Let me just throw something out there real quick, okay?
I mean, the Tigers are 10 games under 500, and they should be 12 or 13 under 500 because they beat the Mets.
Right. Here's the thing. Okay, in the American League East, every team has a plus-minus differential in the positive. In the American League West, every team but the A's has a plus or minus in the positive. It's interesting because the American League East, which has Atlanta plus 117, every other team is in the negative. There's only one team with a plus or minus in the Central, and they're in third place. That's the Cubs. And in the National League West, everybody but the Rockies has a plus minus. So my point being is that.
So that means nothing.
Well, what it does mean is that I think there's a lot of. I don't think either of these teams are going to be above 500. I think that one of them might be at 500, but I think it's going to go right down to the wire. And I think that there's so much. They're gonna lose 2 out of 3 to Detroit, then win 2. I just think because they play in this division and because they're not beating up on it, there's not one team beating up on one other team. I think neither of them are for real. I really think
Neither
that.
of them.
Now I agree with
no one in the division is for. We're counting Detroit out, right?
Yeah, I'm counting Detroit out. I think Cleveland will win the division.
500.
All right.
Interesting.
All right. So we're both at Cleveland.
But you have a slightly more.
Well, no, you
optimistic
think
look.
Cleveland is for real. Harry does not think they're for real.
No.
So Cleveland's going to win the division, but nobody's going to be over 500.
I think
or
they're at or under 500.
80 or less wins.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, it'd be 81 or less, right?
81 means they're at 500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it's 81 or less wins. I think they'll be at 500 or below it.
Well, Pete's.
Pete said over 500.
No, he said at 500.
No, at 500
or above.
Let me rephrase it. Being for real means they will have at least 81 wins.
All right, I'll play devil's advocate and say none of those teams will have 81 wins.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Detroit is going to be for real.
They're going to make a rally. They're going to make a rally.
I think they're going to keep making moves because they've been making moves and they've been successful, and I think they're going to keep building on that. And I tend to agree with Harry. I don't think the Twins or the Guardians will have 81 or more wins. So I'll take Detroit and the long shot.
There you go. All right.
All right. Let's see. What else did I want to? I had these all. I should have written them down. Oh, okay. Who is more for real? Or who is for real? And for real, by definition, in this question, is who's going to have a better record, the Mets or the Nationals?
The Mets.
The Mets.
The Mets are going to have a better record than the Nationals.
Yep.
All right. I agree.
Mm.
Now, let's do that same question with the Mets and the Phillies.
Phillies.
I have more faith in your Mets than although the Phillies are playing good ball. I mean, what are they? 5 game difference, 4 game difference right now?
Yeah, 5.
5.5. Yeah. The Phillies are 5.5 above the Mets.
No, I think the Mets can surpass.
I hope you're right. I'm saying Phillies, but I hope you're right. So.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Philly.
All right. You can tell who the Mets fans in here who isn't.
Okay.
I mean, they just have to. They have to. God, they're so bad right now.
All right, and it seems like we ask this question every time we do the baseball edition, but the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
Now they're 6 games under 500.
Mm-hmm.
5 games out. Well, the Reds are definitely the team that's been hot in that division. I still think Milwaukee will win it in the end. Are the Pirates for real? Meaning, will they be above 500 at the end of the year?
Well, they have a shot at least a wild card.
I don't think they're going to make it.
I mean, weren't they leading this division like a month ago?
They were leading the division a month ago. Now they're 8 games back in the wild card.
Yeah, they're not going to make it.
So they're not for real. Ultimately.
They're not for real.
Yeah. I think that's 2 for reals and 1 not for real for Pittsburgh over the course of the season. So
Yeah,
all right,
this is the first. This is the first not for real.
They're beating San Diego, or they have in the past.
Well, we're getting to San Diego. All right. Next up in the NL Central, Cincinnati for real? Yes.
Yeah.
And can they hang on and win the division? If
they can, I think they can. I think that Harry's right.
I think Milwaukee will win it. I just think their pitching's better.
But no, but can Cincinnati hang on? Yes.
Well, they went on such a heater. They're where they're at because they won 12 in a row, 11 in a row.
Yeah, something like that.
Will they be able to do that again? I don't think so.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. They are not for real. They will not win the division.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Arizona, I think we still think they're for real.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're for real.
All right.
Yeah,
And as I said earlier, I alluded to, the Giants and the Dodgers are not, I mean, they're both 10, 11 games over 500. They're not terrible teams, but Arizona's so hot. All right, so I won't say anything about them. And San Diego, are they for real? As in, are they really just this bad?
I do not think they are going to make the playoffs.
No, they won't. They won't. They won't. I mean, they're essentially the same team as the Pirates. They really are.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the win-loss record,
But with a much bigger payroll.
What a much bigger payroll, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to agree. It makes me sick to my stomach, but I don't think they're going to make it. Yeah, I guess that about does it.
That about will do it. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, we'll let things shake down for another few weeks or another month or something, and then we'll revisit and see if our numbers change. There we go.
And there you go.
Baseball, are they for real? Because there's really nothing else going on.
There is really nothing else going on. This is the dog days of summer, as they say. So even though summer just started. All right, cool. That works. That works for me. I'm not sure if it works for you, but it works for me. All right. We have anything else before we go?
I hope not.
I'm good.
No, I don't think so.
All right. On that note,
nope.
Double checking. All right. On that note, we'll wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch your baseball. Enjoy any barbecues you're going to. And just remember, have a happy and celebrating, have a happy and healthy and safe holiday long weekend if you are going to have indeed a long weekend, but at least through next Tuesday on the 4th of July. So happy Independence Day, everybody. And we will talk to you next week, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Hey, did either of you guys see the Nunez Aldana fight a couple weeks ago?
No,
didn't know.
Final.
No. But I saw two guys. I saw two guys fight on South Broadway near Ellsworth and Broadway.
I saw two girls fight down on the boardwalk the other day.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I think the fight might have been fixed.
You think?
Yeah, it was just there was some weird things about it, and it was her last fight. She announced her retirement immediately afterwards, and
there's a lot. There's a lot of shady judging going on in MMA and boxing, and it seems like it's pretty systemic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was just watching it, and it just like they were like touching gloves at the end of every round, and before the round started, they were nodding to each other, like, "Okay, you know what the script says now." And Aldana just didn't do anything the whole fight.
It was more like the Iron Sheik versus Hulk.
It might. I'm just saying. I think they wanted Nunez to go. She's the greatest ever, the greatest female fighter in UFC history.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think they wanted her to go out with a win.
Of course.
And
right.
I hate to say that, but it just seemed strange. Although there have been a couple of championship fights where they didn't do anything. They danced around for 5 rounds.
Well, yeah, there was one women's championship where it was just I don't think there was like 4 punches thrown.
Yeah. I think that one didn't involve Nunez. I remember that fight.
Yeah, that was what's her name, who lives out here actually in Denver.
Yeah. It's really weird. Did you notice really quick, and then we'll go. Did you see that they're talking about having some of the sports books actually taking bets on professional wrestling?
Ooh.
Why? A clearly scripted event.
What we need to do is we need to have a show about the top 10 best old school wrestlers of all time.
We did it. We did a top 10 list of it a couple of years
I
ago.
know, but we need to
do a show about it.
Yeah, we need to do an entire show talking about it.
I agree with you. All right. We will put that together. All right, folks. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Independence Day. We'll talk to you.
Bye everybody. Wrestlers from 40 years ago. That'll bring